Hello, everyone. My name is Quentin Butler, and I'm the IT engineering manager in Opendoor. I'm so excited to be here. Today, we're going to talk about streamlining employee lifecycle with Okta Workflows. So before we dive in, I'm going to give you three parts. One, I'm going to talk about our core challenges. Two, I'm going to give you two solutions. And then three, I'm going to talk about some of our metrics that we have. All right. So what is Opendoor? Okay, so Opendoor is an e-commerce platform for residential real estate that allows us to buy, sell, and move online. Traditionally, the real estate transaction is complex, uncertain, and time-consuming. Opendoor is here to modernize it. So let's give some background. So we have various roles here at Opendoor. Majority of our roles are around engineering, product, design, and operations. We also have tons and tons of apps that we use currently in our Okta Workflows production. Let's dive in. So first, we're going to go into our core challenge. So we have three. Our first core challenge was we had various apps and tasks that required manual intervention to fulfill our employee lifecycle requests. Our techs on average spent 1 hour per user onboarding and 1.5 hours per user offboarding. On average, an onboarding ticket would generate 6 to 8 requesting additional access to applications and permissions. All right. For tracking, we use a Google Sheet checklist where we manually added terms there to log into each app, whether they had access or not, ensuring to revoke in case. All right, so let's talk about our desired user seamless experience. We wanted a hands-off provisioning process from start to finish. We wanted attribute-based streamlined assignments and resource access permissions. We also wanted centralized logs and alerting that can confirm output after transition. All right, so there were some technical concerns we had prior to Okta Workflows. How does Okta Workflows integrate with applications that are in Okta? What can Okta Workflows do with OIN applications that doesn't have provisioning? How about logging? How do we get alerted if there are failures? So I'm going to give two solutions that we've had. The first one is automating device returns with Retriever. This is one of my favorites. So if you're not familiar with Retriever, Retriever is a solution that collects devices upon a termination. You log in, you put in information, and they'll send the box on their behalf. All right. So what's the previous process of this? So the way we have it is a ticket will come in fresh service, and then that ticket will contain like their address and things of that nature coming from Workday. And then a technician would copy and paste the address into the platform, and then also copy and paste the company return information to the platform, all completely 100% manual. We knew long-term that this was not the best way to do this. So what we did inside Workflows is automated the whole process. So the way it starts is from Workday, a notification comes in with an email to Fresh Service. Inside that ticket contains their name and their address. And then from there, Fresh Service sends a webhook into Okta Workflows, which triggers that flow. Inside Okta Workflows, it will digest all that information and parse it out. So we will be able to look up the user inside our MDM solution, Jamf, to see if there's a device. If there is a device, then Okta Workflows pushes their name and address over to Retriever via API action, and Retriever will then get that information and send the device out. From there, Okta Workflows will then update the ticket with A, if they have a device or not, and two, if Retriever was able to submit their information to send their box out. Pretty cool, right? Time saved, roughly 10 minutes saved per device return. All right, next we're going to talk about automating provisioning with OIDC internal tooling. All right, so some of you may be familiar with the Opendoor application where you're able to, you're able to buy homes, you're able to sell homes, you're able to talk to vendors, ask questions, information. So behind the Opendoor application is Opendoor Admin, is our internal tool. It's our heartbeat. Opendoor Admin is a tool built and managed by Opendoor that's used by a wide variety of teams to accomplish tasks, access applications, and manage users who engage with the Opendoor platform. In many cases, this access dictates what a user can and cannot use in their particular role. All right, so previous process was simple. A user would be onboarded, an IT technician would go look up their role, will log into Opendoor admin, create their account manually, and then have to add permissions to, depending on what the role is. We have various vendors. We have so many different pieces of different users going inside the application. So we have a ton and ton permissions that we have set up. All right. So the question of the hour is, how can this be, streamlined? All right. So working with our engineering team, we were able to come up with an API where when the user is imported from Workday, imported into Okta, based on the vendor, and then based on the title, we're able to create the account, and then we're also able to assign the proper permission through organization. Time saved, approximately 3 to 5 minutes saved per onboarding/offboardings, and depending on the hiring forecast, up to 18 hours per month. Okay, so let's talk about metrics highlights. This is the fun part. All right, so one of our core principles is start and end with the customer. In this case, the customer is our end users. So in Q1 of 2021, 76% of users received access to core apps by the end of their first day. As of Q4 of 2022, 100% of users received access to core apps by the end of the first day. Pre-workflows, we had 6 to 8 tickets per hire. Post-workflows, we have 1 to 2 tickets per hire. Average ticket save is 1,696 a month, depending on the hiring forecast. So let's talk about provisioning. Pre-workflows, it took roughly 1 and 1.5 hours for onboarding and offboarding a user. Post-workflows, it now takes only 5 minutes a user. Average time saved, depending on the hiring and forecast, 302 hours per month, which is pretty impressive. So let's talk about our internal app. Pre-workflows, 3 to 5 minutes per user. Post-workflows, 5 minutes a users. Average time saved, 10 to 18 hours a month. So when I think of Okta Workflows, I think of 3 things. I think of efficiency, I think of value, and I think of ease of use. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it.